is a terrifying creature born of ancient myth, a hulking, lumbering monster created from the very earth itself, carved from clay or rock. The golem is a grotesque, humanoid being, its eyes empty and devoid of soul, its body an unfinished mockery of life. According to the legend, it was brought to life by a powerful sorcerer, an attempt to create a protector from the lifeless material. But the golem's immense power and lack of true intelligence led to something far darker. Though clumsy and slow, the golem is a force to be reckoned with, crushing anything in its path with sheer, brute strength. The term golem in modern Hebrew translates to cocoon, an empty, inert vessel, but it can also mean fool, a fitting title for a creature of such monstrous proportions, but limited mind. It has no understanding of the world around it, and with each command it follows, it becomes more dangerous, more erratic. In the shadows of the legend, the golem's uncontrollable rage grows. Its purpose, twisted by the very nature of its creation, its slow, lumbering movements turn violent, its heavy feet causing tremors in the earth as it seeks to fulfill its tasks at any cost. Those who have crossed its path tell stories of its relentless pursuit, of a being without mercy, bound only to the will of its creator. But the true horror lies in what happens when the golem's creator is no longer around to control it. The golem becomes a mindless monster, roaming the earth in search of a new master, its rage unstoppable. In the hushed corridors of high schools and dark corners of the internet, whispers of Carmen Winstead's name bring a chilling shudder to those who know her story. Carmen was just 16 when her life ended in one of the cruelest ways imaginable, a life stolen by her so-called friends and left to fester in the shadows of a sewer drain. One cold, gray afternoon, Carmen's classmates cornered her by an old sewer. Teasing turned into shoving, and a sudden push sent her tumbling into the darkness below. The fall was brutal. She landed neck first on the cold, damp concrete, her final scream swallowed by the depths of the sewer. Her friends, faces pale with shock, ran, never confessing what they'd done. They claimed it was an accident, just a prank gone wrong. But the truth was much darker. Now, they say Carmen's spirit wanders, restless and vengeful, seeking justice for the betrayal she suffered. Those who receive her story in a chain message are warned. If you don't spread this tale, Carmen will come for you, and many who ignore the warning pay a terrible price. There are chilling accounts of those who laughed off the message, only to be found later with twisted necks, faces frozen in terror. Just like Carmen's last moments, some claim to have seen her, a shadowy figure lurking in the dim glow of streetlights, her eyes wide, cold and empty, staring as if from beyond the grave. Others swear they've heard her whisper, a faint ghostly voice saying, "I'm still here." So, when you read Carmen Winstead's story, remember, she's waiting, somewhere beyond the veil, for those who ignore her tale. And if you choose not to share it, don't be surprised if you hear a soft whisper in the dead of night, or feel icy fingers brush your neck, reminding you that Carmen has never really left. In the dimly lit chambers of Spanish folklore lies a chilling legend about the Castilian lisp, a haunting echo that whispers through the language itself. According to the tale, centuries ago, there was a Spanish king whose tongue bore a strange affliction. His speech was marked by an unnatural lisp, a soft but chilling hiss that crept into every word, bending the sounds like twisted vines. This was no ordinary speech impediment. Many believed it was a curse, some ancient hex upon the royal bloodline. The legend says that the king's court, fearful of invoking his wrath, began to mimic his lisping speech, imitating the soft, eerie sounds that dripped from his lips like poison. They say the lisp spread like an infection, starting with the nobles, then seeping into the commoners' tongues, and finally swallowing the entire land. It became known as the Castilian lisp, a language haunted by a ghostly sound, forever marking Spanish speech with the king's cursed voice. But there are darker layers to the tale. Some say that those who refused to mimic the king's speech met a horrifying end, found with throats slit, their final words etched in blood. Shadows of resistance were snuffed out like candles, until all that remained was the unnatural lisp echoing through Spain. To this day, in the twisting alleys of old Spanish towns, people claim to hear it. Late at night, when the streets are silent and the air grows cold, you might catch a ghostly hiss, the faint chilling echo of a sound long forgotten but never gone. Some say it's the king himself, his spirit lingering, enforcing his cursed speech on the living. Others believe that the lisp is a specter in the language, an ancient whisper that slips from the mouth of those who speak it, bound to a promise no one remembers making. So, when you hear the peculiar sound of the Castilian lisp, listen closely, for you might just hear a voice from beyond, a phantom king, still whispering, still lingering, haunting the language of his people with every breath. the shadowed alleys of Greenock, Scotland, lurks a figure known only as the Catman, a creature half hidden in mystery and spine-chilling whispers. Since the 1970s, stories of this eerie figure have crept through the town, haunting those who hear them. They say he moves like a ghost, a filthy, gaunt figure with wild eyes that gleam with something both human and unearthly. His hands, calloused and dirt-streaked, reach out to catch his prey, rats, which he devours with chilling primal hunger, blood staining his fingers and lips. But it's not only his taste for rats that stirs terror. The legend claims he lives among wild cats, moving silently alongside them as though he were one of their own. The cats accept him, even protect him, slinking through the shadows as his ghostly guardians. Locals swear that on quiet nights, you can see him crouched low, his face barely visible in the dim light, with wild cats prowling around him in a tight, watchful circle. Rumors say that if you lock eyes with the Catman, you'll feel an unnatural chill, as if he's peering into your soul. Some claim he was once a normal man, driven mad and feral by a life of solitude, or perhaps a restless spirit bound to Greenock streets. Many who have dared to approach him in those dark alleyways have quickly turned back, too shaken by his hollow gaze, feeling the weight of something ancient and unbroken. To this day, people pass the alleys of Greenock with hushed steps, casting wary glances into the darkness, knowing the Catman might be watching, his eyes glinting in the night, waiting, forever lingering in the shadows, more ghost than man, bound to the darkness alongside his feline companions. In the eerie world of fame, there lies a chilling superstition, the celebrity death rule of threes. It's a whispered belief, an unshakable omen that warns of impending doom among the glittering lights of Hollywood, politics, and stardom. When one celebrity falls, fans and the media alike brace themselves, knowing all too well that this is merely the beginning, a grim countdown until 2 more lives are claimed. They say that death has a peculiar hunger for threes, a dark, insatiable pull. Once the first life is taken, a sense of dread seeps through the industry, thick and unrelenting, and the clock begins ticking, its silent chimes echoing like a death knell. Paparazzi, fans, and celebrities themselves grow tense, waiting for the next blow to strike. One by one, names appear in the headlines, lives snuffed out like candles in the night. Some insist it's mere coincidence. Others believe that death itself is toying with them, reveling in the twisted rule it's written in shadows. People recall eerie patterns, clusters of stars who fell too close together, as if drawn by some unseen force. Musicians, actors, politicians, all succumb, as if they're unable to escape this chilling fate. Whispers claim that those marked by the rule feel an impending presence, a shadow lingering just out of sight. And as the third life is taken, the specter of the rule retreats, vanishing until the next cycle begins, leaving fans haunted by the pattern, their hearts heavy with fear. So next time you hear of a celebrity's sudden death, listen closely. You may feel the cold breath of fate, hear the ticking countdown, and wonder, who will be next? The rule of threes is always watching, an unseen predator stalking the world of the famous, waiting, calculating, until 3 more souls join its haunting collection. Deep in the dense, shadowy forests of Mexico lurk the Chinex, small, sinister beings of Aztec mythology, creatures twisted by the ancient secrets of the underworld. Known as guardians of the wild, these entities are said to protect mountains and creatures, but their methods are anything but gentle. Those who wander too far into their realm often find themselves lost, surrounded by the whispering shadows of these creatures, who watch with dark, gleaming eyes. The Shinekes appear as tiny men and women, but don't let their size fool you. They are as ancient as the mountains themselves, with wrinkled faces that twist into sly, knowing smiles, and voices that mimic the sounds of the forest. Leaves rustling, branches cracking, animals calling. They're often spotted just out of reach, watching intruders with a curious, malevolent gaze. And if you catch a glimpse of them, it's already too late. Legend has it that the Chinex guard their sacred lands with ruthless cunning. If they catch you trespassing, they'll trap you in their twisted labyrinth of roots and shadows, luring you deeper and deeper until you're utterly lost. And for those unfortunate enough to cross their path directly, the Chinex are said to steal a part of your spirit, leaving you hollow, haunted, a mere shadow of your former self. Some who have encountered the Chinex return, but they're never quite the same. They speak of hearing eerie laughter that echoes in their minds, seeing flashes of tiny figures darting through the corner of their vision, and they always warn, never stray too deep into the forest. The Shinekes are watching, guarding, waiting, for they are the keepers of the wild, and their spirits hunger for any who dare to disturb their domain. In the dead silence of the night, a woman returned home to an eerie sight. Her loyal Doberman, gasping and choking, its powerful body convulsing on the floor. Panic surged as she knelt by her faithful pet, its eyes wide with desperation, pawing frantically at its throat. She wrestled with its jaws, struggling to dislodge whatever was caught. Finally, with a sickening pull, she freed a grotesque object, a severed, bloodied human finger. Horrified, she quickly dialed the vet, explaining in broken words the disturbing discovery. "Get here now," she urged, barely able to suppress the terror building inside her. Leaving her Doberman with the vet, she returned home, shaken but grateful her dog had survived the encounter. Yet as she walked into her darkened living room, a sudden chill ran down her spine. Her skin prickled as if she was being watched. Then came a soft, almost imperceptible sound. Something dragging across the floor, moving closer. She reached for her phone, heart pounding, and dialed the police, whispering her fears into the receiver. When the officers arrived, they searched the house. In the shadows of her bedroom closet, they found him, a man crouched and clutching his bleeding hand, his face twisted in rage and pain, his gaze wild. Her Doberman had done more than just protect. It had bitten clean through the intruder's fingers, forcing him into hiding as he bled out in her own home, lurking only feet away. As they hauled the intruder away, the woman shivered, realizing how close she had been to unspeakable horror. Her brave Doberman had saved her life, but the chilling reminder of those bloodied fingers, a haunting trophy of terror, would forever linger in her memory. In the shadowy corners of Chilean and Argentine folklore, there is a creature that terrifies even the most steadfast, the chanchon. This isn't any ordinary bird. It is a dark spirit, a twisted sorcerer transformed, taking the grotesque form of a disembodied head with enormous, bat-like wings, formed from its own ears. The chanchon is said to haunt the night, its eerie, blood-curdling cry, "Tee, tee, tee," echoing through villages and sending icy chills down the spines of those who hear it. Legend tells of powerful machi, sorcerers who could transcend the human form and, through a dark ritual, separate their heads to transform into the chanchon. As these sinister heads take flight, they prowl the darkness, seeking their victims, driven by an insatiable thirst for fear, with piercing red eyes that glow against the inky sky, and fanged teeth that glint in the moonlight. The chanchon is more than a mere creature. It is an omen of death, a harbinger of doom. Villagers claim that if you hear the chilling toot 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 cry, you must hide and remain absolutely silent, for the chanchon can sense even the faintest breath, the slightest heartbeat. Its presence drains warmth from the air, leaving a deathly chill in its wake. Some who have dared to look up at the sky during the cries swear they have seen the chanchon hovering, watching, waiting, and for the unlucky ones it chooses to descend upon, a strange, feverish sickness follows, lingering like a dark curse. soulless red eyes, and that unending, haunting cry. To this day, the Shanshan remains a whispered fear in the quiet villages along the Andes, a ghostly predator that rules the night skies. So if you ever hear that distant ghostly toot-toot-toot cry in the dead of night, beware. The Shanshan may be circling above, its gaze set on you, eager to claim yet another soul in the darkness. In the grim corridors of 1960s police stations, an eerie rumor began to spread. A dark tool known as the colander lie detector. It wasn't an ordinary machine, but a contraption as twisted as the minds of those who wielded it. Stories tell of police or military interrogators, grim-faced and humorless, who would lead suspects into dim, flickering rooms. There, in the center of a barren table, sat a colander, connected by tangled wires to a clunky, whirring photocopier. With cold hands and steely eyes, they would press the colander onto the suspect's head, the metal pressing down cold and biting. The suspect, bewildered and terrified, would feel every nerve prickling with dread, trapped under that metallic cage as the interrogators began their relentless questioning. For every answer, their eyes would narrow, scrutinizing the slightest twitch, listening to the hum of the machine as if it were an oracle. And then the moment of terror, the photocopier would sputter, lights flashing as it spat out a single sheet of paper. In bold, damning letters it read, "He's lying. No escape. No mercy." The suspect's denials would crumble under the weight of that simple, ominous phrase. Each lie printed like a final verdict, sealing their fate in ink. For hours the interrogation would continue, each piece of paper a silent accusation. Those trapped by the colander lie detector soon broke, their confessions ripped from them by fear and paranoia, convinced the machine held powers beyond human comprehension. And while rational minds would dismiss this setup as a mere psychological trick, to those who lived through it, the memory of that cold colander and the whispering hum of the photocopier still haunts their darkest nightmares. They say that some suspects, after enduring this twisted ritual, could still hear the faint sound of that photocopier, a ghostly reminder of the machine that could see through lies and leave nothing but a trail of fear in its wake. In the dark, moonless nights of the Caribbean, a shadow stalks the land, a creature known only as the chupacabra. The name goat sucker strikes fear into the hearts of those who whisper its legend. is a nightmare made flesh, a thing that slinks through the underbrush, its glowing eyes reflecting the terror of the helpless creatures it hunts. First seen in Puerto Rico, the chupacabra is no mere animal. It is a monstrous, nightmarish predator with a hunger that cannot be quenched. Descriptions vary. Some say it has the spiny reptilian back of a creature from the depths of hell. Others speak of a beast with fangs like razors and claws like daggers. But one thing is certain: the chupacabra is a bloodthirsty killer. Livestock, especially goats, are its favored prey. In the dead of night, it strikes without warning. The victim is drained of its blood. The lifeless body left behind is a grim warning to anyone foolish enough to venture too close. The chupacabra doesn't leave a trace, only a chilling, inexplicable silence in the air, and the unmistakable scent of death. To those who have encountered it, the terror is real, and once you know its name, you can never escape its haunting presence. In the quiet town of Terrell, Texas, whispers of a woman known as Clara Crane still echo through the streets. Her legend, a chilling reminder of the darkness lurking beneath the surface of everyday life. Clara, or as she's feared to be called, the Candy Lady, was once a sweet-faced woman, a stranger to no one, who always seemed to have a pocket full of treats for the children who dared to approach her. But her candy was no innocent delight. No, it was something far more sinister. It is said that Clara lured children into her grasp with the promise of sugary sweets, a gleam of kindness hiding the abyss of madness beneath her pale skin. Once they followed her into the shadows, they were never seen again. Parents, frantic with worry, found only the faintest traces. A few candies dropped on the ground, a small shoe neighbors claim she still roams the town, waiting for the next curious soul, a soft voice beckoning them closer with the rustling of candy wrappers, until the air thickens with the smell of decay and fear. And if you ever hear the faint crinkle of paper behind you in the dark, or feel the brush of cold fingers against your arm, beware. Clara Crane may be closer than you think. The clown doll is a chilling urban legend that has haunted many late-night conversations. It starts with a seemingly innocent scene. A babysitter left alone with the children in a quiet, suburban home. In the corner of the living room stands a creepy, lifelike clown doll, its painted smile twisted, eyes too bright, frozen in a disturbing gaze. The babysitter, unnerved by the doll's eerie presence, calls the parents to ask if she should move it. But the voice on the other end of the line is calm, almost too calm, as they reply, "We don't own a clown doll." Terrified, the babysitter checks the kids, who are fast asleep, and locks every door. But in the dark silence, a faint sound comes from the living room, a soft scraping, like something moving. Heart racing, she creeps downstairs, only to find the doll gone. Before she can react, she hears footsteps behind her, a cold breath on her neck. The clown doll wasn't a doll at all. It was the murderer, disguised